wrap things up. Hey, Be'ezus Hashem, we're going to do today Daf is Daf Tezayin, which is number 16. And we're going to start from about 7 lines from the bottom of Tezvov Omed Beis. So Tezvov Omed Beis. And just we're going to do some housekeeping and then start a new parak, new Mishnah. So here we go. We discussed yesterday a case like this that Rabbi Yossi said. A woman, as you know, we know that she's a nida when in Minat Torah, if it's normal, any day that she's supposed to be a nida, she doesn't have to count 7 clean days. Just count 7, and by the 7th she goes to the mikvah and she's tahar. Then there's a period of 11 days where it's not normal if she sees tuma. And in fact, if she sees blood during those 11 days, for 3 days straight, let's say if she sees blood for 3 days straight, then she has to bring a carbon. That's called a zava. Hi, Alan, we just began.
Hi.
Just reviewing what a zava is. A zava is during this 3-day period. When you're not supposed to see blood and she sees blood, she becomes tamei for 7 days. That's why you have to count 7 clean days. It's not enough. She's sick, so she has to count 7 clean days and then bring a carbon. It's almost like she's thanking Hashem that she's not sick anymore. So that's called the 11-day zava period. So comes along. Hi, Lewis. We just began. Comes along Rabbi Yossi, and he says like this. Let's say it's Erev Pesach. A woman was tamei, and she was supposed to count the 7 clean days, and then so it's Erev Pesach. Okay, let's make it Erev Pesach right here, Erev Pesach. And in the morning she went to the mikvah. Now it's the 7th day, so really she's becomes clean at night, and they were makar of a carbon Pesach on her behalf. Then what happened? She blew it. She saw blood. Now, she saw blood. It was after the mikvah. So according to Rabbi Yossi, min ha-Torah, we split the day. The first day, you're considered tahar, and therefore, they brought a carbon pesach on your behalf. You can't eat the carbon pesach because you became tamei later on, but you don't have to bring a pesach sheni. And then the rest of the day, you're considered a tamei, and you're starting a new zava count. Okay, that's what Rabbi Yossi said, and there was debate whether Rabbi Yossi said that. So, but because Rabbi Yossi said that you become tamei backwards, that really anything she touched even before going to the mikveh is tamei, even after going to the mikveh is tamei. Everything she touched that day is tamei, because midrabanan Rabbi Yossi said we treat it as the whole day as tamei, but midaraisa we divide the day in 2. So Varaf Rabbi Shaya, 7 lines from the bottom of Tezvav and Beis. Varaf Rabbi Shaya Sovel Mafrei Midrabanan. Rabbi Shaya held that Rabbi Yossi meant that you retroactively say everything is tamei is only midrabanan. Rabbi Shaya's opinion about Rabbi Yossi. The Tanya we learned in a brisa. Rabbi Shaya Oimer. Rabbi Shaya says, Haraya Zav Bashvi Shaloi Soisa Shalpanav. Let's say a zav. Again, a zav is a male version of a woman who's seeing the wrong thing. A sickly man who has, let's say, a semen ejaculation, but it's not semen. It's like it's a sickly version of a semen that doesn't come with the aver becoming kishui. So he sees it 3 times. So therefore, he's a tamei. He has to bring a carbon. He has to wait 7 days. That's called a zav. Let's say on the 7th day, it's clean. He's ready to go to the mikvah on the 7th day. On the 7th day, he goes to the mikvah. And then the next day, I guess he brings his karbanos, and that's it. But on the 7th day, what happens? He saw it again. He went to the mikvah and then saw a discharge. Soy seshel you have to reach it. It destroys everything that you counted until now, and you have to start again. Start the count again, right? Rabbi Yochanan says, it doesn't disturb only 1 day. In other words, you don't have to count 7 days. You have to just count 1 day more. Okay, so you keep 1 day as tahar. So the Gemara doesn't understand what Rabbi Yochanan meant. Munafsha doesn't make sense. Isasar, if you hold that until you complete the seventh day, you're not tamei. Kulei sasar, you should hold that it destroys everything. The loisasa, if you don't hold that it should destroy, it shouldn't destroy any day. Because what the Gemara is asking is the basis of what we're saying over here, and this is the most important point I can tell you. We're discussing over here, would you say miktsas hayoim kekuloi? That once you start the day tahar, it's counted as if the whole day is tahar. And we see that in halacha too. Where do we see that in halacha? On the last day of Shiva, let's say, a person doesn't have to sit Shiva the whole seventh day. You sat in the morning and then you get up because you say miktsas hayoim, you sat part of the day, that's the whole day. So since you started the seventh day as tahar, if Rabbi Yochanan holds miktsas hayoim kekulai, so then why should it? We should consider it as if you had 7 complete clean days, and it shouldn't cause you to retroactively start the count again because you started the seventh day, was your seventh day of purity. You went to the mikvah, so why should it retroactively cause you to restart the count? Rabbi Yochanan says, Loi nista v'lo yoimai. Rabbi Yochanan said, it doesn't disturb any count. So therefore, you don't have to recount again. So if the seventh day of your purity, you counted 7 clean days. On the seventh day in the morning, you went to the mikvah and you didn't see anything. So even if you would see later on, it doesn't disturb. It's like a brand new count, a brand new tumah, but it's not considered the zav tumah. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan said. Comes along a little bit further, just to finish this point. Rabbi Shai said to Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yossi koyek kavasech. Rabbi Yossi agrees with you. Miktsas hayoim kekulai. A part of the day is like the whole day, and therefore it goes. The Amar Rabbi Yossi said the same thing. Mikan alaba mitame. When a lady who sees on her seventh day, the middle of the day, she becomes tamei, and she started the day that this was her seventh day, and she went to the mikvah. If she sees at 12 o'clock, so then only from there and further she's metame. But you don't say retroactively what she touched is a tame. So that's what Rabbi Shaya said about Rabbi Yossi. And he said that Rabbi Yochanan, you must agree with Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara says, but didn't we say Rabbi Yossi Amr Sabal Mafrehu Dama? Rabbi Yossi said beferish that we say that anything she touched retroactively becomes tame. So the Gemara says, what did Rabbi Yossi mean that everything comes tame backwards is only midrabanan. So back to the picture. Midaraisa, if this is day number 7, okay, and she had 7 clean days, she went to the mikvah, right? And then she saw blood. So up until really midaraisa, we'd say, if only from the time that she saw blood again, anything she touched become tame. Midrabanan, we say retroactively, we consider the whole day as a tamei day, but midaraisa, it's not true. Midaraisa, and only from here on and forward we say that she's a tamei, because we say miktsas hayoim kekuli. She started the day as a pure day; the whole day is considered pure. Now the Gemara just asks one kasha, and then we finish the parak. Rabbi Yossi michtei savar. Rabbi Yossi holds miktsas hayoim kekuli. If you see part of the day, we count the whole day, like Shiva. If you sit Shiva in the morning, it's considered as if you sat Shiva the whole day. So same thing, if a woman was a 7th clean day was 1 hour or 2 hours she was clean, then the whole day is considered as a clean day. So the Gemara asks, Zava Gemura de Maisi Karbim Hecha Mishkachatla. How could she ever become a Zava? In other words, what makes her a tamei that she has to wait 7 clean days? If she sees every day blood for 3 straight days. 3 straight days she sees blood, 1, 2, 3. But if every day she sees blood, right? And then she did not see blood, right? And she started the next day with not seeing blood. So that next day should be considered a clean day that should take care of the first day. So it interrupts the succession of having 3 days of blood, because the morning of the second day should be considered, if you didn't see blood in the morning of the second day, automatically that should be considered a whole clean day, that should take care of the day that you saw blood. Because if a woman just sees blood one day, all she has to do is have one clean day. So if she has one clean day, then she's tar, and that one blood, it doesn't mean anything. So, but if you always say mikta sayayim kakulai, so she sees blood one day, the next day she didn't see blood till the afternoon, but because she didn't see blood in the morning, she should be considered a tar of that second day, and therefore that should take care of the first blood that she saw on the previous day, so you don't have successive 3 days of seeing blood. So that's what the Gemara says. Kiven the chazi b'palga d'yom. Since on day number 2 she sees a blood, idich palga d'yom, the first part of the day, salik leishima, that should be considered as if you had a whole day of purity, which should take care of the first day of blood that you saw. So Iba Yisemi, the Gemara says the koshafa tlasusloiv yom b'hadei, which is a difficult teretz. Talking about a woman to become a zava, she has to have a constant discharge every moment. Like, it's leaking a little bit of blood for 3 straight days. The Iba is saying, and this one makes sense. Here is another teretz that makes sense. The chaziyat ploisu yama shamach l'shkiyas achama. Each day she saw right before sunset. So let's say on Shabbos by Shalashudis time, before sunset, she saw blood. So Shabbos is day 1. When sunset happened, she continued the flow. So that sunset is really considered Sunday already, and therefore she started Sunday with blood in her system. So we don't say mikta sayam kakula because the beginning of Sunday already she had blood, and therefore that will be counted as day 2. And then Sunday afternoon by Shkia, she saw blood again, leading up to day number 3. The loy have a shoyes the salik leibin yom. She didn't have a time that was an interruption of a start of a day of tahar, and that would be the only case where Rabbi Yossi would say that's what the Torah is talking about, of a woman who's a zava gemura, who saw 3 re'iyas, and therefore she has to bring a carbon. That was just side points. Let's get back to the topic of Naziris. Nun perek. Mi sha'ama hareini nazir. Now we know how much is a Nazira, how much is a Nazir. Nazir is how many days? 30 days. But really, because technically, if you hold mikta sayam kekuloi, like we're saying, then technically you could bring your karbonos on day number 30. But Chazal wanted you to wait the extra day. Don't bring it on day number 30 for a particular gezerah. They wanted you to bring it on day number 31. So that's what the Mishnah says. Misha ama hareini nazir. Someone says, I want to be a nazir. Megaleach yom shloishim ve'echad. He should wait and take the haircut on day 31. Taking the haircut, of course, as you remember, as we learned the psukim yesterday, is after you bring the karbonos, the shlomim. Then after you take the haircut and cook the shlomim with your hair. But if you took a haircut on the day 30, again, mikta sayam kekulai, like we see in other areas of halacha, like avelus. So then, if you ever brought your karbonos on day number 30, that's okay. Now, hareini nazir shloishim yom. Let's say you said explicitly, I want a 30-day naziris. Well, you didn't have to say naziris shloishim yom because any nazir is 30 days. But by you saying 30 days, meaning you're foregoing mikta sayam kekulai. You're saying that I don't want my naziris to end till I have 30 complete days. So there's no dispensation. In gileach liyom shloishim, if you took a haircut on day number 30 and you lo yotze, you aren't yotze, because really you have to wait to day number 31. Here, completely midaraisa, you have to wait to day number 31 in order to bring your karbonos and take a haircut. Now the Mishnah gives you plays with this idea. Misha nazir stay naziris. A person says, I want to be a nazir for 30 days, a nazir, and then he says, I want to be a nazir. So technically, he should be a nazir for 60 days. So megaleach es harishayna yom shloishim ve'echad. He takes a haircut, brings the karbonos, takes a haircut to complete the first naziris on day number shloishim ve'echad, day number 31. Ves hashaniya, but the second one, you could already, once you start taking the haircut and brought in your karbonos, that day should be considered day number 1 of the second naziris. And therefore, day number 30 of the second naziris is actually day number 60, which leads you that the day number 31 of the second naziris is day 61. Therefore, Vesashnia, the second Naziris, Yom Shloshim Echad, is 61. Because just like I can always be Mekabel Naziris, if I say I'm a Nazir, 12 o'clock noon, that's considered day one. So therefore, on the day number 31, when you start your second Naziris, that's considered day one. And because of that, day 60 is day 30, and day 61 is day 31. If you did a haircut of the first Naziris on day 30, remember, you're really supposed to have 30 days, but you took it, you brought your carbonis early. So then that's okay, because you say Mikza Sayayim Kakulai. So therefore, if you took Mikza Sayayim Kakulai, that means day 30 was your day number one. Therefore, day 59 should be day 30 of Naziris number 2, and day 60 is the day 31. You could take the second one and finish the second one on its 31st day, which is the 60th day. But if you took a haircut on day number 59, because day number 59 is considered day number 30 of the second Naziris, because you're starting the second Naziris on day number 30. And day number is number 1, so day 59 will be day number 30. Technically, you should wait to day 31 of the second Naziris, but if you took a haircut already and brought carbonas on day 59, which is day 30 of the second Naziris, yatsa, yatsa. V'zu edis heid Rapapayas held over this testimony. The Sechta Idias, they forgot a lot of halachas, and great Chachamim said testimony about certain halachas, and that's what the whole Masechta Idias is about. Testimony, different Chachamim said about different ideas and different machlokes of different areas of Torah. And therefore, he said over this testimony the same idea. Somebody makes 2 Naziris. If you took your haircut on the first day, the first Naziris, you took it on day 30. Then technically, you should wait till day 60 to take the haircut for the second Naziris. If you took it on day number 59, Yatsa, Yatsa. So this day number 30 also is the day counting. So just to recap, what we've learned so far is technically what day should you take your haircut? Day number 31. If b'diavad you took your haircut on day number 30, that's good. That's okay. And if you subsequently took upon yourself another Naziris, that day, day number 30, could be counted as day number 1 for your second Naziris. Next. Now, we're going to learn over here. So Mishama, this is the part of the Mishnah that you'll ask a question. Mishama, a person says, Hareini Nazir. I want to be a Nazir. So how many days is he supposed to be a Nazir? 30 days. Nitma liyom shloishim. If he came Tomei, day number 30. Well, I could ask you a question. Well, day number 30, you should say Mikza Sayayim Kekulai. And therefore, part of the day is if you finish the day. So if you became Tomei, you shouldn't have to restart the clock. Comes along, Chachamim say, Soisesakol, you have to restart the clock and actually bring a carbon tuma. Because, when actually a Nazir becomes Tomei, he has to bring a chatos, an oila, 2 birds, and an asham. So why does he have to restart the clock? Why don't you say Mikza Sayayim Kekulai? The answer is, the Chachamim have opinion that you don't say Mikza Sayayim Kekulai only if you're bringing the carbon tahara. But if you didn't bring the carbon tahara, day number 30 is considered like middle of your Naziris. And therefore, if you became Tomei that day, you got to restart the clock. Rabbi Lezer says, no, you say Mikza Sayayim Kekulai. You started day number 30 as a tar person. If later on that day you became Tomei, Eina Soisa Ela Shiva, you only have to wait 7 days. Because if you touch the dead body, you have 7 days you have to wait. They sprinkle you with the paraduma. And then you could bring your carbon, Naziris Tahara. You don't have to restart the clock. And really, a Nazir is the only carbon that you really have to bring it yourself, by the way. You can't send the shliach to bring it for you because you have to do tnufa with the kain. There's a lot of work to be done together with the kain. So you wait till you become tamei, tar from your tamei mace, and then you can bring your carbon Naziris Tahara. But basically, according to Rabbi Lezer, you finished your Naziris. But even Rab Lezer would agree, Hareini Nazir Shloishim Yom. If a person said, I want to be a Nazir for 30 days, that means you're saying that I want to be a Nazir for 30 complete days, then even Rab Lezer would agree, you wouldn't say Mikzah Sayoim Kekulai. So Nitma Yom Shloishim, if you became Tamei on the 30th day, so he says a coil, then you got to restart the clock, even according to Rab Lezer. Here, new part. Hareini Nazir Meyayon. Garrison said, I want to be a Nazir for 100 complete days. Here he says it complete days. So, okay, Chachamim say, Nitma Yoim Meya, if you became Tamei on the 100th day, of course, everybody should agree to this. Soiser es hakoil. You have to start the count again, the count 100 days again. Because you said, I want to be a Nazir, even if you didn't say, I want to be a Nazir for 100 days. But the last, you said, I want to be a Nazir for 100 complete days, so then you have to restart the count completely. Rabbi Lezer says, here is another chiddush. Even though Rabbi Lezer should technically agree with the Chachamim, that if a guy says, I want to be a Nazir for 100 complete days, that the last day should cause you to restart the count. You only have to recount the 30 days, because only on the last day there's an extra pasuk that says that says that, you know what, we don't want you, that Hashem says, I don't want you to have to restart the count, just do another 30 days. Just do another 30 days. If, let's say, on day 60, you became Tamei, you got to go back to the beginning. But if you made it to the last day, Reb Lezer has a pasuk that says you don't have to go back to the beginning. You don't have to go back to the beginning, but you just go back you just have to recount another 30 days. But Nitma Yoimei Ve'echad, this is if the 101st first day you became Tamei, according to the Chachamim, technically this is the day you could bring your karbanos. Nevertheless, Chachamim made a gzeira, soisa shloishim. You should recount another 30 days, because if gzeira, maybe you'll say that if I don't have to recount, even if I became Tamei on the 100th day, I won't recount. So that's why Chachamim said, really, if you became Tamei on the 101st day, which is your beyond, it's the after show of your Naziris, still you should recount 30 days. Rabbi Lezer says no, because even when you became Tamei on the 100th day, Rabbi Lezer doesn't hold you have to go back. Therefore, you just wait 7 days and bring your karbanos, and you're already outside finishing your Naziris. Okay, the Gemara just reviews the Mishnah, but we explain the Mishnah. It's very simple. Person says, I want to be a Nazir. V'nitma yon shloishim, and he became Tamei on the 30th day before you brought the karbanos. So even according to Chachamim, normally you would say Mikzah Siyam Kekulai, but since you didn't bring the carbon and you became Tamei that day, that's it. You have to restart the count. So he says, you have to restart the count and count 30 days. Rabbi Lezer says, you say Mikzah Siyam Kekulai. You don't have to recount. You don't have to start again. Just wait till you become Tahar for 7 days, and then we require the Nazir to bring his karbanos Tahara. But according to Chachamim, no, you have to restart the whole count. And actually, before you restart the count, you have to bring the carbon Tumah, because it's like as if you became Tamei middle of your Naziris, which you're obligated to bring a carbon Tumah. We spoke that out in the Mishnah. We go to Amud Beis. Rabbi Lezer says, call Acham Elois. As soon as you started the 30th day, is Mikzah Siyam Kekulai, and therefore you completed your Naziris. So Shiva Soisar. You all you have to do is recount 7 days to become tar to bring your karbanos. Hareini Nazir Shloishim Yom, but if you said complete 30 days, V'nitl Yom Shloishim, so he says a call, then even Rabbi Lezer would agree that you have to restart the count, because you said, I want to be a Nazir 30 complete days. And if you didn't finish the complete days, so therefore you didn't finish your Naziris. So then you have to go back and recount. Loi proleg Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer didn't argue. The Amar Shleimin, because he said, I want complete days. And even Rabbi Lezer would agree. If he said complete days, I wouldn't say Mikzah Siyam Kekulai. Hareini Nazir Me'ayim, V'nitma Yoim Me'ah. If you said, I want to be a Nazir for 100 days, and you became Tamei on the 100th day, so he says a call. Rabbi Lezer Eina Soisa Ela Shloishim. Now, this is just repeat of the Mishnah. V'kula kedavina ba'aliba de ba'padav Rab Matano. In other words, we explained the Gemara, and which is the Pashat Halacha, is that the way Rav Nasna explained the Mishnah, which is that really a Naziris, when you say Hareini Nazir, Midoraisa, you're really a Nazir for 30 days, but technically it's the 30th day, you say mikta sayoin kakuloi. So we that's the 30th day. And midrabanan, you bring the karbanos, you should bring it on the day 31. According to Bar Pada, really a Naziris is only 29 days. And really, we want you to give you an extra day to bring the carbon, and therefore you don't, and therefore you should also bring it on day 31, and you don't say mikta sayoin kekulai. But Bar Pada just disagrees with Masna. Is what is the exact count of a stam nazir? Bar Pada says it's 29. Ramasna says it's 30. But we explained the Mishnah according to Ramasna. But Bar Pada has a different way to explain this Gemara, which was spoken about earlier in the Masechta. Okay, new Mishnah. Misha Nazar, a guy made a Naziris. Again, a Nazir is not supposed to drink wine, not allowed to cut his hair, and also not allowed to go to a cemetery. So what happens? A guy made a Naziris, and he's in the cemetery. Even if he stayed in the cemetery for 30 days, the clock didn't start yet. The Einim made the korban tumah. He doesn't bring a korban tumah. Because how could you be a Nazir and your Tameh at the same time? So therefore, his Naziris clock didn't start yet. Yotza, he went out, went to the mikvah, got the paraduma sprayed on him, benichnas, and then he went back in. Then you start the clock. And therefore, if he goes back into the cemetery, already he was a tar Nazir that started the clock, maybe korban tumah, then already, if he brings the korban tumah, if he went into the cemetery again, so then even if he went in, let's say he became tar on day number 7, right? So now that day he's starting the clock. It's his first day of Naziris, and he goes back into the cemetery. According to the Chachamim, you're a Nazir already, and therefore you have to bring a korban tumah. You have to bring the korban tumah because you violated your Naziris. Rabbi Lazar says loy by bayan. We don't. If you're only a Nazir for one day, then you don't have to bring a korban tumah, because the only time you bring a korban tumah, according to Rabbi Lazar, is only if you're in your second day of Naziris. Because when the Torah says that you have to start the clock again if you became tamei in the middle of your Naziris, the Torah says v'hayamim harishonim yiplu. The first days that you counted, notice the word days, fall. It means that they don't count anymore. You have to recount them. So the only time the Torah says that you bring this korban tumah and the whole Naziris gets restarted, until there's a minimum of 2 days. So only if you're 2 days into your Naziris, then you could be violated with tamei and bring a korban tumah. But if you're in your first day of Naziris, let's say on my first day of Naziris, I'm a Nazir, and that afternoon I go into a cemetery, according to Rabbi Lazar, since I only in my first day of Naziris, so therefore it wouldn't obligate you to bring a korban tumah. Okay, one more piece of the Gemara over here. Itmar we taught. It was a teaching. Guy made a Naziris and he's in the cemetery. So what kind of Naziris is this? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Naziris Chala Olav. Naziris, it's a good acceptance. You just wait till you become tamei. Tar. If you leave the Beis HaKvaros, go to the mikvah, you wait the 7 days, then you become a Nazir. Resh Lakish Amar Ein Naziris Chala Olav. The Naziris doesn't work. Your acceptance is not even a good acceptance. So what does that mean? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Naziris Chala Olav. Rabbi Yochanan says you become a Nazir because Savar, he holds, you're in the cemetery. Mitla Talia B'kaima. It's hanging there waiting to take effect. Kavan the Mishkacha Tahara. As soon as it finds that you become Tahar, let's say you left the cemetery, waited the 7 days, and then you became Tahar, then Chayla, automatically you become a Nazir. Despite the fact you accepted the Naziris when you weren't worthy to be a Nazir. Rav Shlokish Amar, Rav Shlokish says, Ein Naziris Chala Olav. Naziris doesn't fall upon you. Ihadav Amar Chayla. If you re-accept the commitment, then you become a Nazir. If you don't re-accept the commitment, you're not a Nazir. Because the fact that you took a commitment to become a Nazir while you're in the cemetery is not effective. And therefore, you would have to recommit that after you become Tahar. So we'll just end with one question. So Rabbi Yochanan said asked the question of Rish Lakish, how could you, Rish Lakish, say that the person who accepts the Naziris in the cemetery is not a Nazir? Our Mishnah says, Misha Nazir, someone who became a Nazir, who bebeis akvaris, and he's in a cemetery, even if he stays there for 30 days, he didn't really start the clock from being a Nazir. The Aini maybe carbon tumah. He doesn't have to bring a carbon tumah for the fact that he's in the Nazir, he's in the cemetery right now. So what the Gemara is understanding is that that as far as carbon tumah, this Nazir who made the commitment when he's in the cemetery doesn't have to bring a carbon tumah. But can this Nazir, while he's in the cemetery, drink a cup of wine or take a haircut? Carbon tumah u'deloi maisi. He doesn't bring a carbon tumah, but it seems to imply the Mishnah that he is actually a real Nazir in the cemetery, and therefore he won't be able to drink wine and take a haircut. But according to Rish Lakish says the commitment is invalid. The commitment in a cemetery is not considered like he took a commitment on Naziris. So how does he explain our Mishnah? Amalei, so Rish Lakish will explain, Eina b'taris tumah ve'eina b'taris carbon. What the Mishnah means to say is that you're not effectively in the parsha of tumah, that you're Nazir, that you cannot that did not accept upon himself to watch himself from becoming tamei, and therefore when he's tamei right now, when he never has to bring a carbon, and implies the other halachas of a Nazir he also don't take effect on him, and therefore he's not a Nazir that he has to drink wine, that he's not permitted to drink wine or to take a haircut. Since he took the Naziris, according to Rish Lakish, in the cemetery, he's not a Nazir at all. And that's basically what the Mishnah is trying to say, that because he's not in the Torah of Tumah, he's not prohibited from being Metama himself, he's also not prohibited from taking a haircut and drinking wine. And that's what the Mishnah means to say. So our Mishnah is not a question against Rish Lakish. So we'll continue with this topic tomorrow. The question is that someone took a Naziris while he is in a Beis HaKvaros.